Hello and welcome. I am sorry for the late sort of kickoff. We had these gremlins, and I guess it's always the case. When you're going live, you get really nervous, and all sort of things come into your head, and you start to manifest these things energetically. And part of that sometimes also includes like your technology goes down, or your phone goes down, or some particular drama happens that you weren't expecting. So it's all part of the course. But once you get through that and you recognize and remind your body and your mind that, it's safe, it's okay, we're not being attacked by the saber tooth, we start to lean into it and become more adaptable. It's just part of the human psyche, part of the process, isn't it? So we've got Clara back, and we're going to dive in because I know we have a hard stop at 3 p.m. your time. So
we talked earlier that today my everything computer, phone. So it's because I liked what you said, that I'm doing something courageous, and something important, and in these times it's like it's not that the universe cooperates to help you, it's going around, and
yes.
it's sign that if you are decided to do this and it's important, continue despite this. So I'm here. Sorry for the 10 minutes later.
Oh no, it's fine. And I think I'll just share with you that on Monday, I had this enormous headache, sort of headache migraine. And it was because I knew I had to do something that was taking me completely outside my safe zone. And it's like, okay, what's going on? And so when I started sort of checking in with my body and just, my mind, it was that way of playing safe. And so part of my process was to say, hang on, it's okay. It's okay. This is actually for our good. So I'm glad you're here. So we're going to dive in, and I have some questions. And I guess in the spirit of not belonging and not feeling safe, we're going to do this one slightly differently. So normally we kick off going, tell me about yourself, who you are, blah, blah, blah. But I really want to do this, and I have some notes. I'm just going to get my notes up. I'd like to do it slightly differently. So I'd just love you, Clara, to share with everyone one particular moment when you caught yourself off guard, when you realized that you were playing it so safe to belong. And then we can follow through on that.
You know what I realized? We have many moments like this, but I think the ones where I do it more often is when I don't speak early enough. I see the things, I sense it, my body is reacting, but I'm just staying silent. And maybe the most important moment when I did that was I was pregnant, heavily pregnant, 1 month before giving birth, in a meeting room. I still remember. Of colleagues, most of them men. And when my manager announced, wow, 2 of our colleagues have been promoted, associate director, la la la, and I wasn't on the name. The thing is, all of us, 6 months before that, were promoted to a position that at that time, the company also, it was a big corporation, and corporations also have an internal hierarchy system. So I was doing the role, I got the role, it was on the paper, but only now he managed to put it at the right level internally. But he did it for his colleagues and not for me. Without announcing me before, without saying anything in a meeting, he said it publicly. Now, there was a moment, my daughter was very good child, like I hardly sense her in my belly. She didn't kick me. There were even times when the doctor was asking me, how is it, everything fine, is the baby moving? And I was like, I have no idea. She was so happy, she was just but that moment she kicked so hard that I was like, oh my God, she sensed that I was disturbed. So I didn't say anything. Now, I'm not saying to say it publicly like this, because obviously there was something there happening and you don't do it in public. But after that, I didn't ask my manager what is happening here, because it's not right. But I knew, I will be back in a few months. What will happen? to me in the moment, what will be my role. But I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna keep it quiet, stay quiet, leave it. It's all fine now. I'm leaving for a while, maybe for 2 years. We'll be okay. We'll see when I'm back. I will take it from there. But guess what happened? Yes, I was back in 2 years and a half actually, because in Czech Republic you can stay longer. And even if I plan to come back half a year later, for the love of my daughter, and I stay longer. And I lost my promotion because that manager was gone. There was nobody to talk to. Even if on the paper the role was there, I was told, well, there's no role like this now. It has changed. There's nothing at this level. You are not at that level. We're not going to promote you because you are on maternity leave. So guess what? Take that and take a non-leadership role.
So aside from the role, what did that cost you from not speaking up? Because it's clear that your daughter felt it.
Yeah. So I wanted to accept it. If I think now, I mean, definitely the role at that point, which by the way, in half a year I managed to get him off. So there was a gift in that in the end. And I could talk, I mean, in everything there is a gift. But what costed me at that point was, I think overall, I mean, one is I think even the future in the company, because even when I got the role, changes happen. Like I came back, people didn't know I'm at that level. So you have to start all over. So practically it's like all your work that you've done before that was for nothing. So in that company, practically I started from zero the moment I came back on maternity leave. And personally, you want to ask personally,
So this topic is about, why do so many women in particular, because it's about women, sort of downplay their attributes and their strength to belong, and sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it. So where do you think that need to belong comes from? And because I speak to a lot of women, and they have this sense of duty, and they don't necessarily realize it's about, there's something at play. But where do you think it's come from? Because most women that I know you work with, they'll say, I need more clarity, or I need more confidence. And I've often hear you say, you don't need clarity. And you don't need, it's not the confidence. So can you just help? I'd love to hear your take on it, because I think it's really interesting.
yeah. Well, first of all, you need a clarity, but different type of clarity than you think you have. It's like, and this will bring me later with what I really do, because you try to solve problems that are not actually the real problems.
Yeah.
You try to solve symptoms rather than the root cause. But in this particular case, all of us, let's take it like this. We all have this desire of belonging. It's rooted in our survival. I remember reading once in Yuval Harari was writing very, very well, that his theory of how Homo sapiens survived was exactly this belonging to a tribe. Because before, as a species, Neanderthals, they were stronger than us as as animals. But still we survived because we gathered together, and through the power of the group, we were able to overcome anything. At the same time, then we started to travel, to share stories, so this stuff amplified. So it's rooted in all of us. But what is happening now, and particularly for women, what I see now, if you look in the companies, there are still many of them male dominated. So then there's a certain culture, like this belonging is more like in terms of the male culture, the bodies, like a different type. And women don't feel there, many of them, unless you become more like a man, stronger, the masculine energy,
I call it the wounded masculinity.
Yes, I like, because you always have the best words for that. So yes, so the thing is that's why we feel that the need is for the men too, but somehow they're already a step forward, because they're already in that energy, they're already in the room before we are. And I think this is the problem. Well, one is the need, and the second is, I think we need a society to learn to belong there without having to change ourselves in something that We are not.
And how do you think women can build that? Because I have a particular take on confidence, because I think confidence is very different to self-esteem, and sometimes I think self-esteem is more important than confidence, because confidence to me is like when you don't know how to do something or you're not sure about something, then of course if you knew how to do it you'd go and do it. But I think when you have the self-esteem and that inner knowing that you're here for more,
Mhm.
it's something, you're then more, I guess, motivated, more likely to propel you towards that. But so do you think that, and I probably get cancelled for saying this, but I think it's a conversation we need to go there with. Do you think that, because I'm a child of the 80s, and I'm in the UK, so my era was Margaret Thatcher, and she was called the Iron Lady. And I very much admired her because she was strong, she was powerful, but she was still very feminine to me anyway.
Mhm.
But do you think that now, sort of the wokeism, this thing about, you know, softness, the soft era, lean into your whatever it is actually cost women or is costing women,
Mm.
whether it's in the workplace or whether it's in their business? Do you think that there's like, we lurched we went so far because we were the suit, the tie, the big shoulders, and then we lurched to let's relax and soft and be in the energy, and somewhere in between. What's your view? I'd love to hear what you think on
Mm.
that.
Well, I said something, and also something might emerge when I will talk. This is something. I mean, I thought a bit before I was asked before these things, but not really so much. So let's see where we get today. So the first thought that comes to my mind is that, at least from my experience, and not only mine, but working with people, is that extremes are never good. And we know that. Even when there are strengths, we don't talk only about weaknesses. Anything that is too extreme, whether it's here or here, they become weaknesses. We don't need, if you look now, what is happening in the world, okay, now it's a lot of aggressivity, masculine wars and stuff, so beyond that. But if you look, all this rise of the feminism and which, I'm a woman, and I'm yes, I am fully for the women rights and everything. But then when you start to put it to extreme, like just for the sake of being feminist, just for the sake of, I don't agree with this, I will be different, just it is not good.
Yeah.
You always need a balance. That is the obvious answer. And then what I think, not get too soft, because then if you are too much leaning into your feminine energy, where are you going? Like I already mentioned that I took the decision to stay home with my child for 2.5 years because, my only child, and I felt the love and I could afford it. And it cost a lot of things, not just that promotion, but it was a conscious decision. Imagine that you lean more into this and then you find out that work is just here, serving everyone, taking care of everyone, mitigating the conflicts, all the time being the emotional stability of house, whatever. And then when do you have time to do something for yourself? To take the leadership on your dreams,
Mm.
on your own stuff. Because I think we need a balance of masculine and feminine energy.
And that's a juxtaposition, isn't it, where for most women, many women, even the ones that are, 8, 9, 10 figures, they predominantly are the main earners. And I saw recently Emma Greedy, who was sort of part co-owner of Skims and other things, where she came out and said she was sort of a part-time parent and certain things. And people were lauding her for what she was saying. And then, you see these other women who are doing the best they can, in their power, not necessarily um, in a privileged position or as privileged, but they're equally sort of being pulled down for saying they're not at home or they're not doing certain things. And I wonder if there's good PR and good marketing which goes back to your brand, right? It goes back to you and how you're showing up as yourself. Like, this is me, this is who I am, instead of, again, that need to feel like we need to belong either in the feminine, you know, and this is where I think society's become polarized, because, we're either feminine or we're too masculine. So
Yeah.
when you're in the workplace, were there ever time where you were told or informed, like, you're too emotional, you're too much, tone it down, bring it back, don't do certain things? And what advice would you give or share with, women that, and men actually, because I know that this isn't just about women, it's also about men, that when it comes to really stepping into who you really are, not the polished version, not the curated Instagram or LinkedIn professional version, but the truth of you, what advice would you share based on your experience, and also how you work with your clients as well when you're working with them?
I love this question because it also shows something that has changed in the past year, especially for me, because the way we work, whether we're employed or we work with clients, it's connected a lot to ourselves, to our inner knowing and our inner development. There is something that I was told when I started my business, that your business is the reflection of you. And this resonated so much, and since that time I put focus on this. So at the core, the advice is go to yourself, take a pause. You are labeled however you are labeled. Go back home, take a pause, look inside and see who's the real you, and how do you want to show up in that situation. What is your need to show up? Now there are the differences. Now they come from my previous approach than before. The previous was more like, try to work with I don't know, they tell you are too emotional, control your emotions, change your thoughts, positive things. If you think all this stuff, they're coming from outside. Try to change some things, control. Even when you think you go inside, you try to change the way you react to it, or you try to control your thoughts of things that you cannot do. Now, what I came to realize, that the real way to deal with it is to really know yourself, what you want, observe what is happening and see what is true in that, or what is your perception. And then based on that, decide whether you want to play in that movie or you want to play in a different movie, and how you show up. In the end, it's your decision.
I'm going to hold that for about the movie piece, but I was just intuitively sort of guided to ask you, because I know you're a fan of AI as well. And I think that with the rise of artificial intelligence, and obviously there are different layers to AI, whether, again, you see what, I'm going to ask it in a different way, the relationship that people have with themselves and also those around them, to what extent that's also being influenced by going to chat, GPT or Claude or whatever the latest one is, for guidance on, identity work or embodiment or coaching. Where do you see that moving? Because like you say, it's a movie, isn't it? So
It's a movie. It's a movie, and yeah. I mean, nobody has the one everybody's trying to predict. So I'm not going there to say it will be like this. But what I see happening, and I'm also going to AI. I mean, I also have coaches, I also have friends. So I'm not going just to AI. But I noticed something. One is, it's very important for me, at least, to understand. Speaking of the root cause, to understand how AI works. So AI is called AI, but you see people, smart people, scientists, that say this is not really intelligence. This is just spitting out words. This prediction of word, and we people don't function just with the words, with the language. This is influenced a lot. It influences us a lot, but there are many other things about us, not just the language. So AI is the language, functions with the language. It tries to predict the next token to say, and it's using a huge database. So it's copying things. There's no creation from, it's just creation. It's just putting pieces together and coming up with the next thing. So then when you go to talk to AI is very knowledgeable, yeah, with all the knowledge in the world, but you may, and it says it with such a confidence that you start to believe it, and you may take it as real. Oh, I'm being coached, I'm learning stuff, I'm getting stuff. But actually, what I see it, you need awareness. Like I dare to say that I have a high level of awareness with all the work that I've done, and I'm keep on doing. And when I have a high level of awareness, my conversation with AI is much different. Like I'm sitting here next to flowers. At some point, it felt like I'm talking, my flowers are talking to me, because I got the insight from something. I went there to see what is wrong with a flower. And from that, I took a lesson for me. But just because it's my high awareness, AI would never think of getting this, I give this meaning. So I think it can be, it's useful, but you need to know the story, what AI is able to do. And the tricky thing is that if you don't know that you are self-aware, you don't know that you are not. So but this is what I see. If you work on yourself, and that's why it's very important to work on yourself, to keep your critical thinking, to start to look, to understand how things are working and what these things can do, what they cannot do, when they could hallucinate, when they not. When you understand this, you will know how to use AI well. But otherwise,
real full-time job for so many people, because they're busy, they have busy lives, etc. So when someone works with you and they come and they say, Clara, I always have this thing over my shoulder saying, who am I? Who do you think you are? Where do you get these great ideas from that, you are meant to be this multi-millionaire, or you're meant to be, the SVP of the organization, or sitting at the boardroom? What do you say to them? And then how do you bring them back to feel connected with self?
I'm already thinking in that direction now, because it's a different nuance to it. On one hand, if people say I'm meant to be, I'm not sure if I want to work with these people, because the ego is so big that I don't think might be. I need to work with people who are open to see a different thing. So this is the first thing that came to my mind. The second one, if maybe the formulation was not that, it doesn't mean really that I'm meant to be and I really desire to be there, so I want to do anything possible to get there, then yes, they can be the people I want to work with. But in this case, we start to talk to see what is actually, go few levels deeper, to see why is this desire, what do they want to do in this world, how do they want to show up, what are their values.
So you start with their purpose and their vision, and then dig down into.
Is very, very important, because without the purpose, it's just transactional. I want it. Even the purposes could be. If you come with the purpose, I just want it because it's paid better. I don't care if I'm good at it or not. It's a good status, and this is not. It is a purpose, but it's not. Unless you have something bigger than that, then probably I don't want to work with this kind of person.
You said something that really sort of left and poked my curiosity when you said, if someone's closed, you don't want to work with them, which obviously you're repelling those individuals. Like that's not for me. Which is really great, because I think, you only have to look everywhere, and you'll see in these, how do I make X amount? How do I get to X amount? And I guess this race to the bottom of, you can make 10K, you can make 50K, you can, without the nuances, as you were saying earlier, about, the purpose the person brings. When someone comes to you and they're having these conversations, what do you say to them? Because I just want to go back to something you said earlier as well, where where some of the descriptions of, things that are going on are very much external to that person. So what do you say to them? And what do you do to bring them back to that purpose, to that sense of what is it you really want? And I'm going to throw something else in, because I know we had this conversation a while back and we were talking about the real question of who am I? Because I think that's really what this is about, isn't it?
Yes.
Is to know what you belong, or where that feeling to feel belong or part of a tribe. If you dig beneath, and we're going to go deep, is who am I really at the core? Who am I?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? Where do you dig and go with that when someone comes to you?
Of course, it depends on the person, because everyone is different, and with some can be like that, with some can take long, or again it might not work. But one principle that I work with is, and it's aligned with, that's why I with my school of coaching, the Ericsson Coaching International, is solution oriented. When and going rooted also in neuroscience, with the fact that when your neurocortex works well and sees everything only when it's free from survival and from negative emotions, and so you need to calm down your inferior brain. So that means you need in the session to create a state of safety, a state of focus on the future and something good that you want, and not focus on the problem, not focus on the past. No, this is not therapy. So what I do is I have all kind of exercises when I move people to, we call it as if techniques. I move them people to different situations that they want, and often I see that when they relax in that, then things start to emerge, because this is when they are most connected to their inner wisdom, and then things emerge. I want this, and because of that, and this is my value, and oh, actually what I thought yesterday is not valid anymore, because it makes no sense now. So this is the main thing, that where I see the quick transformation, when they can get, and somehow I can create a space to remove all these
And what
distractions.
does it feel like for that person once they sort of, lose the illusion, can pierce through that to get to that core of, oh, okay, I thought I wanted A, but now I want B.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for them? Because again, I see, and I think this is probably, again, going back to what you think you want isn't really what you want. And I know you've said this before as well, like, I think one of your favorite phrases, what you think the problem is, isn't actually the real problem. It's something beneath. When they break through that, what do you see? What's that ha-ha moment for them?
The first version, usually it's like you took, how we said it in my language, you took a stone out of their chest, that they relax and are like, oh, I didn't see this, and everything is possible, everything, not, but they start to see possibilities. And so yeah, there is this relaxation, that even if the thing is still there, even if there's still uncertainty and they cannot control it, somehow they have this, I don't know, that there's this relaxation, and all of a sudden it's this inner knowing that they arrive to something that gives them the ability to do something else. This is often this feeling. And yeah, it's very interesting to notice. And I see on myself too, because I also have these moments when I'm like, oh, even the recent one now, I mean, we talked to do this live, but I've just decided to transform my Substack publication, because I realized before I was linking it too much, how to monetize it and write about this, and it needs to be linked. Although I liked what I was writing, but somehow it was still linked to, needs to sell a program, it needs to get to that. And I was like, it's not that. And when I finally had the realization that, you know what, this is for me to express myself freely, no matter the result, I'm just here to show up and to share all these things that I have. It gave me all of a sudden this relief. I even started to sleep better. Even my aura ring showed me the resilience. For the first time in my life, I'm getting a long streak of exceptional, like the highest level of resilience. So I see something similar like that with people.
So do you think that was more resistance?
Yes.
Because that was something going against the, I guess, the inherent nature of who you are or the way to sell, because I guess, I've come to I remember when I started, I had no idea how to sell or what to, and I was following these formulas and inside I felt as if I felt, and I'm being, I'm sharing this openly, that it took me back to my corporate days when I felt like my soul was just being sucked out of me. And when I really sort of thought, okay, I get to sell, but can I reframe it in a different way? Can I say this isn't a really, yes, it's selling, but it's a service, and these people have manifested me.
Mm-hmm.
So how it's not about me, it's about them, so to speak. So what is it that they want to hear? What is it that I have that, I've been through, I've lived through, and they want, needs sharing. And it's not for everyone. I think I'm Marmite. You either love me or you don't love me. And I've come to that point, but it's only when I stop trying to fit in and stop trying to belong. So it was interesting, and I'm going to ask you the same question, because I know you've had sort of the before corporate and after corporate. And I was reflecting this morning, on the conversation, because I was like, my God, I remember when I was in the corporate days, I only wore heels. I only wore dresses and skirts or trousers, so, all the things that, and I remember someone said to me, if you want to be promoted, you need to dress and look and be a certain way. And I'm grateful for the advice, but I realized that what that was also doing was erasing parts of me. So I guess after my corporate is I started to rebel because I was more comfortable in a tracksuit and a t-shirt than I mean, like this flower dress. I'd never dream of wearing flower dresses before. So I'm still finding my way through that. And now I feel I'm also coming up against another rub as well, because as you navigate that, again, you're pulled into how do I belong? How do I fit in? To actually, I'm not here to belong. I'm not here to fit in. And what's your take on, the life before, Clara before in corporate and Clara after corporate?
It's definitely a difference. The first thing that comes to me, there are phases in life. So now, before I explain you, I want to say something from the beginning. It doesn't mean that this is good, this is bad, this is, I don't fall into that, oh, I used to work in corporate and it was so bad in my time and now it's better and look at me and I'm free, I'm traveling to Bali, and it's nothing of a sort. Yeah. That's again another image that you try to fit into that image. So we have phases in life where we need different things. For me, Clara Incorporate was the busy Clara who had to prove, who had to grow, who had to, but I still kept, I know I was human, so that was my thing. So, and that at some point, Clara got married, Clara, got a child, so responsibilities, more studies, so I had to learn to adapt to all these changes in my life. But yeah, if I draw a line, it was Clara busy with a clear program. I do this to that. I'm very efficient. No matter what, I'll find a way I do this. All of a sudden, Clara, not now, Clara immediately after corporate was like, oh, I wanted this freedom, but now I need to see what I do with this freedom because I still need a structure in my life. So it took a while to get to a structure. And now, after so many things, and there are so many things really that I had to readapt with the relationship as a mother, as a wife, as a, many things there. I think that now I got to a point where Clara, yes, feels more anxiety because that's what it means. Entrepreneurship. You don't know if you don't have a paycheck coming at the end of a certainty with that. But with all this, this Clara knows better who she is. I'm more connected to myself. I calmer. I have better relationships with people, even if I had before, but now I have a better understanding of them, and not just empathy, but better understanding that the way they see the world is different than the way I see the world. So then let's stop a bit and understand this. And I think this Clara also understands that, maybe that phase in life will, that will never come again. We always evolve internally. But when it comes to all this external stuff, they come and go. So I might go again, incorporate some other thing, but I'll go in a different way, because I show up as a different person. Or maybe not, or maybe I take another partnership, or God knows where life will take me work wise. But as a person, I know that I know myself better, and at least now I'm decided to be more myself and not allow myself to play small again, because
So,
I know that I can live without that job.
and
Yeah.
if someone wants to work with you, Clara, because there's you've I'm trying to find the words. You've done so much and you've experienced, so many different aspects, and some people are still navigating that. And I think, with the advent of certain changes, although social media is meant to bring us closer, in some respects, it's actually brought us further away. So if someone wants to work with you, I guess where can they find you and what would they expect, in a first session with you? Just help us to bring that to life so someone could, because we know what Clara's like. We know she gets results. There's someone's like, I'm sitting here and I'm watching. Tell us what,
Yeah.
just share some of your results, because I think some of the things, obviously I know, but it's still very powerful what you've delivered.
Mm. Well, where they find me, until now I was mainly on LinkedIn and from time to time on Substack. Now you'll be able to find me more here, so you'll get to see more of my insights and see if you resonate with. And I plan to share more, not only my own, but a lot of stories from the insights of my clients. So then you will see clearly what is happening and the work that I do. I also have other plans, website and other things. So they will find me on social media, and I will also I can share a Notion page after where they can write to me. But the way I work is first session. I don't put pressure on people. I don't like scarcity. I don't like sign this and do this because, you know. I want people to feel that it's the right time and to feel that I'm the right person for them. And even after they feel that and we work together, I want to have this interaction and really see, does this stuff work? Do we still have this chemistry? Is it still working? Do we continue? Or we can say, okay, it's not working and that's it. So this is the first thing. I don't put any pressure on people. When they are ready, they come.
So
This,
one thing I often see, and I really want to get your perspective on this as well, is I see, and this is not reflection on, because I'm speaking from experience as well, where, you hear the phrase, I'll meet you where you're at.
Mhm.
But oftentimes, if you're meeting someone where they're at, it's where they're playing safe. It's where they're keeping themselves small. So whilst there is a degree of, yes, need to meet you where you're at, but also I need to stretch you, you know. What do you do? What's that? What does that journey look like where you take them from feeling safe to stretchy, but still in the realms of, you're not going to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger.
I like this meeting where you at, it's safe, but actually, if you see about it, it's a nervous system safe. It's usually not that you are there in terms of what you can do or what you know to do. We need to make this distinction because a lot of time we have this contamination of, familiar. That's how we work, how our nervous system, how our brain works. We stay within the familiar. Everything that's not familiar, it generates stress. The higher it is, the bigger the stress, and then depends on your resistance to stress, then you are more resistant or not to that. So, but inside we all can do more than we think we can do. So when we say we meet you, the way I work, and by the way, I don't have a proper recipe. I mean, if you want, yes, I look into your vision, I look into identity, I look at the problems really, and I go deep. I don't take the first answer. We go deep with that, and once you discover the problem
Is that the Clara process that you
yeah,
talk about?
like C is clarity, from what you want, but get to really what you want, not what you think you want. Then you get into your identity, then you get into the real strategy actions, what you need to do. And then once this is clear, I'm going to be in your corner for the other parts of the look also who can help you, because it's very hard to do everything alone. So what resources you have, and not in terms only on people, we can also work with AI, because AI is good on many things if you know how, on what. And then the light is the adaptation, all this period, because things happen, resistance comes, you need these things. But mainly, because this is if I want to put it within a method, but mainly what is happening is that I'm fully present there. When things happen, I'm there and I connect. I mean, the way I trust that people have the resources to come with the right answer, the same way I trust myself that I know to ask the right question. Maybe not all the questions are the right question, but at some moment I trust the process and I know that I will come with the right one. Because I've done so much trainings, I learned so many frameworks that now I internalize them and they come naturally. I have the experience. I have the lots of hours of coaching, of lots of hours in work before. So I know I have this, and plus the intuition. So I trust myself that with all the experience and the inner wisdom, that sometimes you just get something downloaded from nowhere.
You're holding the identity for them,
Yes.
even without them necessarily knowing it at the time, but
Yeah,
you're taking
them to. Yeah, I like this frame. I didn't think that I would name it like this, but it is because I'm holding the space, and in the space, it's so my responsibility practically is to create a space so that they can find out who they are and be who they are. And when they are really embodying that, then things start to come out, and they are surprised often where this came out.
so they're finding themselves back, they're returning
Yeah,
back to
yes.
belonging to themselves in essence. So that's what you're doing, you're taking them back to.
Yes, and then they will find out that they know things. And by the way, knowing these days with AI, you can know things. The thing is, can you do it, or not? Can you do it? Are you willing? Do you want it? Do you want it big enough to to do it? And then, do you want to do it? Pass through all the resistance, all the struggle, all the whatever. Are you really willing to take this journey?
So I'm not going to have this conversation without talking about money, because again, for a lot of women, money, and equally for men as well, it's not just, but money is sort of that universal currency, I guess, that we often look through, and also help sort of shapes our view as well. So what's that relationship between money and belonging that you've seen? And where do you think that, I guess, the constriction or the distortion happens that then ripples into other parts or other aspects of the person's life?
Mm-hmm. So what I came to understand and experience also on myself is that when it comes to belonging, we are educated, or we are influenced, by our culture to think that when you make a certain level of income, you belong to a certain class. We have the middle class, we have the rich people, we have the whatever we have. And then you want more and more because you want to belong there. And the tragedy of these days, when you see a lot of people losing jobs and with AI transforming things, we don't know how long this transition will take until we'll find out what exactly we will be able to do. A lot of people are in trouble because their entire identity was linked to that job and to those money. So I already see people that still have expensive cars, expensive houses, like a lifestyle that they cannot cover it anymore. So they feel now, oh, I don't belong there anymore. I mean, with their mind, they still belong it, but now because of the money, they don't belong. And this is the wrong thing, because I take it as a gift, the fact that I'm not in corporate now, because it was a shock to see that. I mean, of course, I had a runway. I didn't stay like this. When I decided to do my business, I had something. But when I saw that, oh, I don't know tomorrow, will it come this month, will it come? So I started to be stressed about money, even if I had money. So that helped me a lot to get humble, but humble not in a way of, okay, now I don't need anything and I'm going to live on the street or whatever, but it made me realize that in the end we are all humans, and our belonging doesn't depend to, this is a shallow belonging to a status and with the money. Mere money is good, don't get me wrong, and is a good vehicle to do something, and for me it's a vehicle to help me to give more value to the world. But I came to understand that who I really am has nothing to do with the money. So I belong to the humanity. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I belong to my family, to my daughter, how she would say she belongs to me because she loves to be with her mommy. I belong to my family. I belong to my community. I belong to the humanity. And when I understand that I'm human and I belong to humanity, then I see more as a duty and also a calling to serve and give more, because I want to
I
contribute.
think that's so important, and it's another we should have another topic on money, because I'm doing a couple of programs at the moment where the energy of money, etc. But I think again that is so important, because not everyone on the planet is meant to be or wants to be wealthy in terms of the money currency. Yes,
Mhm.
they want wealth in terms of the fulfillment of life and the joy and the experience and the freedom, etc. And they can go and live off the grid, and to them, that's wealthy.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants, or I've come back in this lifetime because you know my work, to make more money. They've come back for different reasons. So I really love what you were saying in terms of, you belong to humanity, because like you're here to raise consciousness of humanity, and then money's like the byproduct of what comes. I know we're sort of we're conscious of time, but I just want to finish off by asking you, like, what does it actually feel like? If someone says, look, I've had enough, I just don't want to fit in anymore, I don't want to belong, because what it's doing is actually keeping me small. It's keeping me shrinking from being, playing full out. And I realized this week where, although I thought, I was doing things that are completely outside my comfort zone, there's still more to push. There's a lot more to leverage. But what does it mean? What does it actually feel like to stop trying to fit in and instead just be you, you know, be Alison, be Karen, be Joe, just be you. And how do you take your clients to that point, at the end of your time together, 3 months, 6 months, what do they, how does that look?
I think this is freedom. This is what freedom feels like. And I'm gonna be candid here that I'm better on that path. I'm not completely there because we are all humans. So
None of us are.
none of so we all are on our journeys between this belonging to that. But actually what I came to realize is that, first of all, in many cases, and I see it with clients too, I mean, I came to realize from my own and also working with people. First of all, what we think will happen, what we think belonging is completely different than the reality. And then when we decide to be different or do something else, we might have the surprise that nobody cares, or there's not, the wall didn't fall, it's all okay. So this is the first thing, to really look at it. Is it real, or is it just a story in my head? And then the second one, if really who you are is not accepted there, then to start to look, is this the place where I want to be? Or can I find another place where I'm accepting it like this? You know, this is very important. The third one, if really, I don't know, you want to be there and you need to confirm, because there are rules in the end, you know, maybe I want to be, I don't know, I don't know, I feel good walking naked on the street. It's not fine. I will disturb other people. So my freedom ends where I'm restricting the freedom of other people. So there are some rules you need to play with. But then look at these rules and see how to merge the alignment between the rules and you. You know, not to make compromises to your core values. This is always important. I can make compromises, you know, like okay, today I'm gonna stay with my child, tomorrow you stay, or whatever stuff, I'm gonna miss a meeting. This is not against my values. But if it's against my values, then I would strongly suggest see what you need to do to survive the period, if you need the money or whatever. But then not then, look right away, start to look for a place where you are accepted for you, the core of you, you know. This is the work.
So if someone, and I'm just going to wrap up by just asking you one question around where someone's been playing it safe, and it kind of links back to this question, but where someone's been playing it safe, what's one thing they can do to really take them to the edge and make it feel really stretchy? You know, because for some, what I've seen is, and as you said, you know, we're all work in progress, and this is something that I've been doing. You know, there might be one thing where, particularly for women, being visible is something that it's yes, but and as you know, as we were coming on earlier, we had some issues with the connections, etc., and we could have just cancelled and go, no, it's actually not meant to be. But this is, you know, taking it to the edge and go, no, it's okay, because that's just normal. So what's one thing you could leave with someone to really to push them into that edge and feel stretchy?
I was laughing because my husband is not on LinkedIn and not on Substack, and I didn't post unsafe videos on Facebook because he can see me there. So I'm still there, you know, how to myself small. And the videos also that I've been doing research. So I'm still on this journey. So one thing is the first one, be aware, don't stretch too much, because if you stretch too much, it breaks. So you can't do this. You can't do a quick jump. So you need to observe how big the stretch is. And I'd rather prefer do it in small steps. Take a first step that is a bit, you know, what is, and usually I ask people, what is that one thing that it's uncomfortable but not that uncomfortable, so that you can do it. Because my learning is, once you take this first stretch, the next stretch is bigger than the first one, because you gain a bit of confidence that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was, and then it gets even bigger, and then it gets even bigger.
I
That's
love that.
leave them with. Take the first step that stretches you a little bit. If you cannot.
I love that. I love that, and I'll share with you that I always say to my clients when I do a reading initially, because I always start with their Akashic readings, whatever work I do. Most, you know, unless it's something else, but generally when I'm doing long period, I always start with the Akashic records, and usually there's something in there about obediency where they, you know, and they go, it's funny, I've always wanted to rebel, but I've never. And I always say to them, it's not the big transformational moves that will be the lasting. It's the small things, like, you know, for if you want to go and buy a new bra, it doesn't have to be from Harvey Nichols or, you know, Selfridges. It can just be from Primark, sort of in the UK, or if you in the US from, TJ Maxx or Marshalls. It doesn't have to be from Nordstrom. Just something, because it's like, yeah, I've broken the rules. And that's usually when energetically you start, the pattern starts to move. So I love what you were saying about it's the small things that give the biggest results.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I respect your work, and the energy is your stuff. I'm not dealing with energy. I'm down to earth, because I'm very rational, and then I bring also this emotional and sensitive things like the creative part of me. But in the most down to earth, the most down to earth explanation is the following: you stretch a bit, you get the experience, you learn something, you see, okay, maybe you fail on something, but something works, something you learn from that, and then gives you the courage to, or maybe not enough courage, but I do it again, and I can do it more. And yeah, this works always. I see with my daughter, who's highly sensitive, and I can't stretch her much, but I can see how it is when she sees that it's working. The next time it's easy. So this
Yeah.
is it. If you take it from all sides, like down to earth or energetically or whatever you want to explain it, there is always like this. That's how we grow in the end. Like we came to this age, every day gives us something different than what we learned yesterday.
Absolutely. So Clara, if there's one thing you'd want everyone to leave with, one message or one thought for the day, what would that be?
Maybe that to realize that we all have, as I said, we belong to the humanity. So we all have something special in us. And whether you believe in God or not, or in intelligence, there is an intelligence around us that creates the world and everything. And trust that we are part of that. And scientifically we are created from the star powder, which is
I say God. I say source. I say God. I said energy, universe. We are consciousness.
sometimes divine intelligence, but whether you believe in this or not, there is an intelligence around us. We all have it in it. So trust yourself that when you will be present, it will come. The answer will come. It always comes.
Okay.
Sense
So
of
thank you.
performance and anything.
Thank you. And thank you for those that are watching, taking the time out of your schedule. If you have any questions or if you want to connect with me or Clara, please send us a note. And Clara, you're going to send out a ebook.
Yes.
We didn't get to talk about your orchid, but I think it's in there, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to steal them.
Yeah. And now I just.
I think that's a money topic next time. So I think we should do one with money, and we can talk about the orchid. I think we
do
need
it.
to do that one.
I prepare a mini ebook where I share 3 stories with insights. My own, or I also have one from my client, because I believe sharing insights may generate other insights in people, and you don't know where this come up with. So if you subscribe, for those who subscribe to my Substack, I'm gonna contact them personally, and write to me.
Or you put it in the link. You put it in
Yes,
the notes. We can do that.
missing some on the phone now because the computer didn't work.
Yeah, I think once this downloads and it's live, we can always do a restack and then add the link as well. There's definitely one way of doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. Any final thoughts you'd like to wrap up with before we sign off?
Maybe just don't take yourself too seriously or things around too seriously, because often is the story that we make about things that happen. Not often, always.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you on that one. But thank you.
That you are the movie we are all in, and to be aware that you are in the movie, or that you are dreaming and it's not really real, and you'll always find a way.
And this is a person who said I'm more down to earth, and she.
But it's down to much.
I love that. But it's been really good connecting and talking to you, and I think we should continue these, but we'll definitely be having more of these conversations.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ingrid, and
Thank you to everyone who's joined, and enjoy the rest of your day.
and hopefully those of you who are in 30, 40 degrees will survive the heat wave.
Thank you, Clara.
Thank you,
Bye.
Ingrid. Bye.